are going to conclude tonight's extravaganza with Nick talking about Sir Douglas
Hey
Banner.
Amber, have you ever played any of the Grand Theft Auto games?
No,
If so, did you enjoy them?
I have not. No, I never played GTA. Sorry. I didn't. Yeah, we're gonna finish off with Nick tonight, talking about Sir Douglas Banner, the RAF's legless anti-hero. No, none of them, Albert. Never did. Star Fox? Yeah. So let's find out about Sir Douglas, shall we? Wait.
You know somebody's an absolute gangster when they're not an American, and I'm still gonna make a video about him.
Is it true?
Today we're talking about Sir Douglas Bata, a World War II British RAF fighter pilot ace with at least 22 confirmed kills, and he managed to do all of that as a double amputee with no legs, which I think we can all agree is a pretty impressive feat.
Indeed.
The lack thereof. But first, a word from our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by PermaSafe. All right, here's the deal. PermaSafe is not the average set of rubber gloves that you've seen at the hospital before. These things are designed for people that work outside of a clinical setting with their hands that still don't want to touch something gross or something hazardous. Your paramedics,
this one
your
should be
law
good
enforcement
because
officers, construction workers.
The obvious thought is, how is he going to work the rudder?
These things have diamond texture on the palms so that even if
Like how, like, that's the big question. You kind of need, now based on that photo, I'm gonna hazard a guess that he had prosthetics. And depending on where the amputation is, yeah, he's obviously got prosthetics. The impressiveness may elevate third leg sab. Depends on where the amputation site is. If it's, if the amputation site is above the knee, that's impressive because he's not going to be able to get much leverage pushing down. But if it's amputation below the knee, I could see him being able to get downward force using prosthetics. I could see that. The twist axis, if only, DJ. If only.
Buy yourself a box of PermaSafe gloves, keep them in your car, in your garage, and at some point in the future, you're going to be holding something absolutely disgusting in your hands. You're going to be like, wow, Fat Electrician was right. This was definitely worth the money.
Well, true, Falcon, but you have other options to work with controls there.
All right, Douglas Bader, born in London in 1910. World War I was going on when he was a child. His father and his older brother-in-law both fought in World War I. His father was an engineer, and his brother-in-law was a fighter pilot. Because of that, young Douglas knew that he wanted to be a fighter pilot too. So fast forward 1928, Bata's 18 years old. He just graduated from high school. He immediately joins the RAF as a cadet pilot, as well as going to Cambridge for college. And while doing that, he would become a star athlete for both organizations. While at Cambridge, he would play hockey, box, and become a star rugby player. Apparently, he was so good at rugby that it was believed that after college, he would join the national team to represent his country. And then for the RAF, he would end up playing on their official cricket team. I have no idea what cricket is, and I really don't care to learn.
Nobody understands cricket. You gotta know what it
Oh my God!
to understand.
As soon as he said, I don't know what the hell cricket is, this scene immediately popped into my head. From the OG TMNT. I was not actually going to say anything. But goddamn, if this was not, if this didn't just pop, this didn't pop into my head of Raphael saying this to Casey.
I mean, yeah, I thought Crumpet was the mountain that the Grinch lived on, so obviously I have no idea what's going on.
What?
Fast forward again 2 years, 1930, he's still going to college at Cambridge, but he graduates from a cadet to a full-fledged commissioned pilot in the RAF, at which point he becomes known as an absolute daredevil while also being extremely talented. He can pull off every aerial maneuver known to man at this point, including some that are so dangerous that they're banned, and not only does he do those maneuvers, he does them below 2,000 feet, which is also against the rules because it's extremely dangerous. But Bader doesn't care about rules. He doesn't care what you tell him. That's just guidelines. He's going to do what he wants. Because of
Dwayne, I will like the video as paying my rent. DJ, I think you're thinking of strumpet, not crumpet. Strumpet means sexy young female. Yeah. And is anybody else getting Maverick vibes from Nick's description of Sir Douglas Bader? Cause crumpet is too? Okay. Yeah, like he's talking about like he's doing crazy ass stunts, he's dropping below the hard deck just because he can. I wouldn't say Iceman vibes. I'd say Maverick more because Iceman was very calculated in his flying. Maverick was just all over the fucking place. So okay. DJ, I bow to your experience and geographical location. Okay, good night, Night Industries. Okay. That's probably where I got confused. Like I've heard the word used towards women before. That's why I thought it just, was referencing a sexy young woman. I'd never heard. I thought crumpet was a food. I thought a crumpet was like I like something having to do with food. It is? Okay. That's what I remembered it being. I never thought that it referred to as a sexy young woman. It's a food too. Yes, we are gotten off subtopic so fucking hard. We've gone from a legless war hero to talking about fucking crumpets. We must get back on track.
Of that, he actually gets selected to represent his squadron at the Hendon Air Show in a flying competition, which he wins. Then later that year in 1931, he is preparing to go defend his title at the Hendon Air Show in early 19...
Really? Chat? Do I take you off target? Could I make you go off target? Eh? Leo, that's only gonna make things worse for you. Do you know that?
1932, at which point he tries a dangerous maneuver too close to the ground, and the wing of his Bristol Bulldog catches the ground, crashes the entire plane, crushing his legs. Because of this, both of his legs would have to get amputated, one above the knee and one just below the knee. At this point, you have to remember it's in 1930.
Wait, hang on. I missed that. Where did you say the amputations were?
Amputated, one above the knee and one just below the knee. At this point, you have to remember it's in 1930s. He is told that he is never going to be able to walk again without crutches. And that's what they believed because nobody had ever done it before. But you also have to remember, Bada doesn't care what people tell him. The same attitude that got him into this mess
the main
by
character
not
of this
listening
story.
to the rules is the same attitude that's going to get him out of this mess by not listening to what the experts tell him he's going to be capable of doing. Over the course of his rehabilitation, not only does he regain the ability to walk without crutches or a cane, something...
Did they make some kind of a old movie about him? Because this doesn't look like it's real footage. This looks like Hollywood footage from a long time ago. Did they actually make a movie about his life or something? Yeah, it certainly looks like it. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Over the course of his rehabilitation, not only does he regain the ability to walk without crutches or a cane, something he was told was going to be impossible, he also regains the ability to drive his sports car, golf, and dance, all on dual prosthetics.
Dance?
And he managed to do all of that in 4 months, essentially by himself.
Wait. He received an amputation, prosthetics, rehabilitated, to the point that he could walk, drive, and dance in 4 fucking months. Holy shit! No, Atanashi, that's not main character plot armor. That's main character plot recovery power right there. This man had the healing factor of fucking Wolverine to be able to recover that much. Holy shit!
itself because all the experts thought it was impossible. It wasn't like modern day where there's an expert that has a refined process on how to help somebody out in his situation.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Okay, Lola.
No, this man blazed the entire path on his own with no background in physical therapy. He just figured it out. So fast forward June 1932, 5 months after losing both of his legs, he shows back up to the RAF like, hey guys, made a full recovery. Let's get me up in one of those planes so I can take it for a spin. At which point they tell him, absolutely not. You don't have your legs. We're not going to let you fly. He then argues with the RAF, to which they agree that they're going to let him have a test flight with another pilot. And if he does good, everything should be fine. So that's exactly what they do. He takes a plane up, he does a bunch of maneuvers, he lands the plane, all with the use of his prosthetic legs. No problem whatsoever because he is a phenomenal pilot. He then gets cleared.
Oh wait, I was about to say, what do you want to bet there's gonna go there? This is the British, that they were gonna go, oh, you're still not good enough. Nope, we're gonna say no. But it sounds like I'm gonna be wrong about that. You have the same mindset? Good, Falcon. That is the kind of mindset that you need. The mindset like you and like Batter is, that's the kind of mindset you need to overcome adversities like this. It is. The people that recover in this way have, they function like you did, Falcon, and like Batter did when tasked with what seems like insurmountable odds. You went, fuck this shit, we're doing this my way. And you take the odds and you say, go fuck yourself. And you, Falcon, are living testament to that. Well, Atsunashi, that's why I was gonna say. Like, yeah, he's proven that he's a badass, and they're still gonna go, no, they're still grabbing it. That's what I was suspecting.
Prosthetic legs, no problem whatsoever because he is a phenomenal pilot. He then gets cleared by a medical board saying that he is fit for active duty and he is reinstated as a pilot. Fast forward 1 year later, April 1933, the RAF, for seemingly no reason, decided that they were going to reverse that decision and ground him because there was nothing in the King's regulations in regards to a legless pilot. To which
saw that coming. This is one thing with Nick's stories. Nick is a fantastic storyteller. However, there is a running trend with many of his stories. And that is, you get the main character, you've got the badass main character who is proven, I can do it better than you. And they will get screwed over by the brass. Yep. That is a running theme with most of Nick's stories. I won't call it a trope, but it is an existing thing. Because it doesn't happen with every one of Nick's stories. But for more than a few of them, it does happen.
Bada's like, yeah, no shit, I'm the first guy that's ever done it ever. That's why you guys put me through all that testing and a med board to see if I could do it, and I've been doing it for the last year. Why would you ground me now? To which the RAF was like, don't really care. That's what we decided. Fuck you. Get out of the plane.
The exercise for stroke victims works for many other injuries. Cheer 100.
You mean stroke victim, Duran? I think you fumble fingered an R and missed an R there. But I get what you're saying there. Yeah, Ona, Duran, but I took your point. I was able to, I figured out what you were trying to say there. Yeah, it's like, okay, chat.
To be fair, common issue, and he has said that those stories draw him in.
True, Kaibo. I mean, there's like, these are true, winning because you've got heart. These are the kind of stories, like, we talk about, like, oh, if you just believe, we make fun of, like, the modern day people like, especially in the gaming industry, where we say, like, they basically grew up on the, oh, if you just believe in yourself, you can do it, but they don't actually have any fucking talent. And so they're shocked and appalled that they fail. This is the original, you can do it if you've got heart. That they also have the skill and the talent to back it up. So, different time, much different mentality. And so in this case, the strength of heart is a layer on top of a pre-existing badassery. That strength of heart helps them overcome this moment of difficulty in the most epic of ways.
Is then informed that he has to pick a new job where he stays on the ground, and Bada, being a man of his stature, isn't going to stand for that shit, so he retires early. From there, he spends the next couple of years collecting his military pension, working a desk job, golfing 36 holes a day. He also meets his wife and starts to settle down. Then, over the course of 1937, 1938, Douglas would write the Air Ministry multiple times saying, hey, if the next World War is going to kick off, let me know. I'm happy to come back and fly a plane for you. Then, fast forward, sure enough, September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland, World War II kicks off, and the RAF finally decides to call back Douglas Bada.
Nice!
So Douglas shows back up at an RAF base, and he is pumped because last time he was flying planes was 8 years ago, and they were like old biplanes like his Bristol Bulldog. Now, they got Spitfires, they got Hurricanes, planes have come a long way in 8 years, and he is absolutely thrilled to be able to get up and fly one. And at this point...
So how is this going to get fucked up? How is he going to get screwed over and they're just going to tell him, oh, you're going to work on the ground crew, you're not actually going to fly? With the excuse being, you have never flown one of these before, you're not experienced, all of our pilots are. Why do I have a suspicion that's where we are headed? And then, of course, he's going to say, I don't fucking think so. Give me the stick.
Point, RAF leadership yet again informs Douglas, oh, we're not actually going to let you fly a plane. You don't have any legs. That would be preposterous. We thought you wanted to join the war effort and do a ground job just to help out. At which...
Called it. Did I not call it? I read it, cooked Xanax, and what happened? Yeah, I mean, he's probably, like, I'm wondering, is he going to jump in a plane, unauthorized, take it into the air, do some seriously crazy acrobatic shit, and then head brass is gonna go, oh shit, we should actually let him fly.
At which point, Douglas is furious.
I'm a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
Luckily, however, some of the people that Douglas had served with prior 8 years ago were now higher ranking officers and they had some pull, and they convinced the higher leadership to give this guy a shot because he's an incredible pilot.
Nice.
So the higher ups finally agree to give Douglas a shot, but that shot entails him going back through flight school all over again, which he does, and after his first...
Okay. I'm actually not going to criticize this at all, having him go back through flight school, because, again, much different plate. Wait, what? Wait. What did I miss here? His prosthetic... This prosthetic flaw in a roller coaster. Oh, I missed that! Oh, why is this so funny? Oh, God! Okay. Yeah, that must have been pretty fucking crazy. TJ, I'm laughing from you just talking about it. Good, yeah, absolutely. Like, going through pilot school makes sense. He's not flown a plane in 8 years, and aircraft technology has greatly changed in 8 years. So, I actually have zero issue. I'm guessing he probably didn't have issue either going through flight school. That he probably had no issue with this. He still got to fly. So,
First 11 hours of flying with an instructor, he is finally allowed to take up a plane on his own, and the first thing he does is invert it and fly it upside down at a low altitude right past all the instructors. Basically giving all of the instructors the middle finger. He then peels off and goes and does a bunch of other maneuvers, and you have to realize this is the first time he's been inside of the cockpit of a plane by himself in like a decade, and last time he was flying a plane solo, it was his Bristol Bulldog, which is a biplane, and now he's flying a Spitfire. This is a huge upgrade, and he is blown away at how incredible this plane handles. He's able to take turns and pull off maneuvers way tighter and way faster than he ever would have dreamed of being able to do inside of a biplane. And initially, he gives all the credit to the new airplane and how advanced aircrafts have become. But then over the course of a little bit more training, he starts to realize not all the other pilots can pull off these turns and maneuvers as tight and as fast as he can inside of the Spitfire. They have the same plane. Is he just that much better than these guys, or what is going on? And then it dawns on him.
Well, you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dane.
Yes, I know that.
He realizes that it's all because of G-force, because when a pilot takes a turn or does a maneuver, they're exposed to G-force, and if they do it too fast or too tight, they're exposed to too much G-force, all the blood in their body rushes down to their legs, and they lose consciousness. Okay, you see where this is going? Doug doesn't have any legs for the blood to rush to. G-force is just Viagra to this guy at this point.
Okay! I was not expecting that expression. But he's not wrong. No, he's not wrong. The blood is all draining downwards and just pooling there.
Cheer 100, that's why I said his third leg.
Yes, I know you did. I know. Yes, happily. I will happily play it again.
All the blood in their body rushes down to their legs, and they lose consciousness. Okay, you see where this is going? Doug doesn't have any legs for the blood to rush to. G-force is just Viagra to this guy at this point. Dude is...
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need the crutches. He has some built-in cane. Oh, gray matter. Zeddy. And yes, Velvet, I do indeed.
Literally the real-life version of Star Fox. Yeah, remember the Nintendo video game? You ever notice how Star Fox and everybody in his crew all have metal legs? According to the internet lore, it's because they all had their legs amputated to resist G-force more.
What? Really? I never knew about this. Hang on. Attempting to explain this Earth, the theory in question is that Star Fox pilots actually had their legs amputated. The real-world reason for this, theorists argue, is essentially that amputated legs will allow the pilots to sustain more G-force and potentially prevent blood clotting. The Star Fox's pilots are actually amputees since it will allow them to do their jobs better and more safely. I never heard about this. I know about Star Fox. I never knew that they actually had robot legs to begin with. Let me first say that. I did not know Star Fox and his crew had robotic legs. That was unknown to me. And question number 2. Is Star Fox and company never brought up and being hailed as heroes for disabled people that are like double amputees, or just like not even double amputees, but just disabled people that have an amputation? Why not laud Star Fox as one of those heroes? You never hear about this. Oh, Bigglesworth, no, fuck that shit, no. These guys should be hailed. Well, so what, Brevin? That doesn't matter. No, I understand the studio never considered it. I'm not talking about like the studio doing it. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about in modern day, everybody loves to say like, oh, I can identify with this character because they are like me. Whatever like me entails. You never hear about that with Star Fox. You never hear about like, I can identify with Star Fox because they're like me. They are a double amputee. Or they are an amputee. Make it happen. Internet, make it happen. I'm like Star
Like
Fox
Cyberpunk
happen.
Chrome being better than Flesh, that probably why.
Yeah, but Refn, who cares? Who cares? Who cares if if the chrome is better? You're still an amputee. Why not Star Fox be a role model for those kind of people? Yeah, I know, Robo, I know, but I thought Star Fox had like a resurgence as of late. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought the whole franchise had something of like a cultural resurgence.
More. In a weird twist of fate, his disability has turned into a physical advantage inside the cockpit of a fighter plane. He quite literally has a leg up on the competition. And because of this, a lot of other fighter pilots and high-ranking officers in the RAF start to not like Bada because they claim that he's arrogant and difficult to work with. Here he is, getting told he's never going to walk again. Not only does he walk again, he learns how to golf, he learns how to drive a car, and now here he is out piloting most of them. What an arrogant prick. Luckily, Doug doesn't really give a shit. He's not here to make friends, he's here to win a war, and that's exactly what he said.
And by the way, chat, you can't see it. Let me move this. Hang on. And I'm hoping this is an actual photograph of him.
Since drones are battle-proven, disabled people could fly those if they are mentally normal and can use one or both hands. Cheer 100.
It's so true, Falcon. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of a thing for pilots that do sustain an injury that does not allow them to actually fly anymore? Isn't that an option?
I would want to become a cyborg, replace everything but my reproductive and digestive system with machinery.
And your brain, Canito. You want to keep your brain. Yeah. But chat, I think this is a real photo. Check out, he's got the badass scar. I'm thinking that's a scar and not an artifact from the image. He's got this really cool scar, like, over his mouth? Right here. He's a dapper Joe, but he's got this character scar right here.
F asterisk asterisk asterisk. Keep in my asterisk asterisk asterisk. S2 goddamn scary. Cheer 100.
Kendrick? I have no fucking idea what that was supposed to say. The asterisks threw me off. I'm sorry, I have no idea what you said there. Keep your what? You don't have to censor your TTSs. If you're worried about that, you do not have to worry about censoring TTSs. We are all grown-ups here. You can swear to your heart's content, gamer. Yeah, my brain's too scary to keep. Oh! Your brain's too scary. Okay. Why did it asterisk like that? Speech texting censors it? No, Kendrick said my brain is too scary to keep. Fuck, keep my brain is too goddamn scary. Okay. You know what? Kendrick? A scary brain is far more valuable than you realize. I can make fine use of that scary brain.
That's about doing. His first combat mission is over the skies of Dunkirk during Operation Dynamo. If you
Cheer 100. You know someone is a fucking gangster when they are not in the United States military and Nick still covers them.
Yeah.
Game recognized game.
Oh yeah, Tellboy, that's what he said at the very beginning of this video, that he's a badass if he's, if he's not American and he's still making a whole video on him.
doing. His first combat mission is over the skies of Dunkirk during Operation Dynamo. If you don't know, this is the operation where they had to evacuate the entire British military from Dunkirk. Yes, this is what the movie Dunkirk is about. If you don't know, basically when Germany took over France using their new Blitzkrieg tactic, they took over France so fast that the British army couldn't even get a foothold inside of France to start fighting back. The entire military was caught and surrounded in the city of Dunkirk, and they had to evacuate their entire army, barely making it out with their lives. And Douglas Bada was in the skies over Dunkirk Dunkirk in a Spitfire, running defense for these guys while they got evacuated. During this time,
Nice.
Bada claimed to have shot down 5 German Messerschmitt Bf-109s, but he is only officially credited with shooting down 1 and potentially damaging several others, because every time Bada says that he shot down an enemy plane, it is extremely scrutinized, because again, a lot
Cheer
for
100
fuck's
nah.
sake.
I'll keep my brain. The nightmares I already have are better than the ones I'll have after being connected to the internet.
You assume you're gonna be connected to the internet, Bigglesworth.
that he shot down an enemy plane, it is extremely scrutinized, because again, a lot of the other fighter pilots in leadership don't like him because they think he's an arrogant person.
Fuck. So now he's not getting credit for the kills that he is rightly owed. Because of fucking course he is. Hello! Hi, Eleven! Hi, Raiders! How's it going? How's it going, Raiders? Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Welcome! He caught us right in the middle of our final video of the evening. We're looking at an RAF pilot with no legs. Yes, it has been forever, 11. How was your stream? How was your stream? Did you have a good time, I hope? Did you have fun? Hi, Arlie. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you're in time to see us doing talking about one of the most badass RAF pilots of World War II, a man with no legs. And he's still the best pilot the RAF has got. Pretty cool. I hope you are going to enjoy it. Arlie, my Christmas was lovely. I had a lovely Christmas. I got to spend the morning and part of the afternoon with my family, and then I did stream at night with all of my wonderful strays. Rays, now I gotta go and order like once a week with friends. Thank you, 11. Yes, my chat absolutely spoiled the hell out of me and made me cry, as always. Okay, Aiden, have a wonderful dinner. Eat something yummy for me. Yeah, you guys absolutely shattered me. Like you always do. Like you always do. So, join us while we hear about Sir Douglas Batter and how much of a badass he is. Aw, don't worry, Arlie. Thank you. I will take the belated one. Thank you very much.
Prick. So literally every plane that Bada is officially credited with shooting down has been spotted by him, his wingmen, and an independent third party on the ground to verify that he's...
Thank you, Drowning Moe's. Thank you for the tier 1. Okay, I want to hear that again of how they're trying to screw over Douglas Batter here.
Plane that Bada is officially credited with shooting down has been spotted by him, his wingmen, and an independent third party on the ground to verify that he shot that plane.
Are you fucking kidding me with this bullshit? Garen? Falcon, I don't think so. The Spitfire was brand new. They may not have... Well, okay. Had they installed the gun cams yet, though? Could this have been prior to the installation of the gun cams? Is it possible that this was earlier on before those were starting to be used? Kind of, Atanashi, yeah. Their requirements for giving him credit for shoot downs is insane. Like, independent third party from the ground? Like, are you fucking serious? Well, Revan, I don't know. I mean... Yeah, that's what I was wondering, Bigglesworth. Like, I think we had heard about them using gun cams during World War II, but I don't think it was extensive usage, perhaps. And maybe they only had a finite amount. Maybe like at this point in the during the war, this was like kind of like at the beginning of the war. So maybe they were not installing, if they were installing gun cameras, maybe they were not installing a lot of them. Maybe we're seeing, we were perhaps seeing more of that in use maybe closer to, as the war progressed further. But at the beginning of the war, which is what we're looking at here, maybe they weren't using them so much. And normally I'm guessing like, a wingman saying, yeah, they shot it down would have been enough. But because it's Batter, and they don't like him, they're like, okay, we're gonna make this really fucking difficult. We can't make it impossible because you could cry foul and people might not like that, but we're gonna make it really fucking tough. Which sucks.
Plane down before they would give him credit for it. But that's besides the point. Whether he shot down one enemy or 5 ultimately doesn't really matter, because Douglas Bader and the rest of the RAF were able to hold off the German Air Force from bombing the men on the ground long enough for the entire British military to get evacuated so that they could live to fight another day. And because of this, Douglas was promoted to squadron leader, given command of Squadron 242, or at least what was left of it. You see, Squadron 242 was a bunch of Canadian Hurricane pilots that had been stationed in France and had been fighting the Luftwaffe for a while, and they had sustained heavy losses and their morale was cripplingly low. Bader comes in as their new leader, turns the entire squadron around, takes a squadron in shambles, and turns them into an effective fighting force again.
So Bader got a ragtag bunch of Canadians in World War II. Oh, this is gonna be good. He got a bunch of Canadians and said, boys, let's fuck shit up. What kind of fun are we about to have?
Cutting through red tape and bureaucratic bullshit to get his men what they needed to be successful. And because of this, even more of his peers and the chain of command starts to like him less, because he is sticking up for his subordinates. And to me, this is the most important part of the entire story, because as this story continues to go on, you're going to notice that the more successful this man becomes, the more and more some people tend to not like him and try to trash his reputation. I have watched countless interviews of other people talking about their relationship with Douglas Bader when he was alive, and all of their opinions can be summed.
Yes, and yes, I see he's wearing the hoodie, chat. I absolutely see he's wearing the hoodie. Very fitting. But also, what he was talking about, like, the more successful Bader is, the higher ups and everybody like him. Not surprising. This is the British. They are very spitball. And he's basically showing them up, saying, I'm outperforming every single one of you motherfuckers, and I ain't got no legs. So, I am honestly not surprised that the higher-ups hated him the more that he showed them up. Well, Revan, it's like they liked successful results when they could credit themselves as being the instrument of that success. Bader is basically saying, yeah, I don't fucking need you guys. I can just do this shit on my own. I don't need your approval. I'm a badass all on my own. And I think that's what they didn't like. They didn't like that Bader actually didn't need that. And that pissed them off because they couldn't steal any of his credit.
Summed up into one of two. Opinion number 1, he is a literal superhero. Opinion number 2, he was an arrogant prick, but even I can't deny he was a good fighter pilot. And oddly enough, all of the people that thought he was an arrogant prick were fighter pilots that were in an adjacent unit, or leaders that were in an adjacent unit, not his unit, because his chain of command absolutely loved him, and all of the men that served underneath him also absolutely loved him. To give you an idea of how highly his men thought of him, one of the pilots that served underneath him, Sir Alan Smith, later in life said in an interview about the time that Douglas Bada made him second in command for a mission, it felt like God had told me to come up and keep an eye on heaven for him. Which to me...
Suck. Okay. That is a level of dedication I have not often heard. Like, we've heard about units that have had significant dedication to their commanding officers. That utterance of it felt like God just came up to me and told me to watch over heaven for him. That is epic levels of praise for the respect that these men have for him. I cannot think of another instance of where you heard a verbalization of that level of respect. Holy fuck.
Me says everything, because I think how you're perceived by your subordinates is a far better metric of your character than how you are seen by the people competing against you for a promotion.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong, because I read on the internet one time that somebody's grandpa met him once during World War II, and that guy's grandpa told him that Douglas Bada wasn't very polite. Jesus Christ. Okay, first of all, word of mouth 4 degrees removed is not a reputable source, so I don't really care. Second of all, even if that was true, let's put it into perspective. Your grandpa met the guy while he was in World War II. Okay, so at this point in time, Douglas Bada is literally a legless man in the biggest ass-kicking contest the world has ever seen, and he's winning, okay? The guy's probably got a lot on his plate. It wouldn't surprise me if he was a little stressed out and maybe angry sometimes, okay? Shit happens. Get over it. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. It just really, really annoys me when people that have never met somebody go out of their way to shit on their legacy for doing something incredible because it makes them feel better about themselves. Anyways, moving on. All right, fast forward.
He's exactly right. And this doesn't limit, and we're not limited to these, previous generation war heroes that Nick talks about. That is the mantra for life. I've said this. Like, I've been saying this about everything happening in modern day. That people that crap all over someone else and call them every name in the book is because they feel like shit about themselves. And this is the only way they can get a sense of purpose, is to shit all over other people. That's, like, I've said this, I don't even know how many times. I don't know if you guys kept a tally, but I say it all the time. That people that try and shit all over those that do good do so because they have no purpose in their life. And this is the only means that they can find purpose. Which is a sad state of affairs, and it does not detract from the good that the people they're trying to shit all over have done. Because the people that try to shit all over them, they may be trying to have some kind of bullshit purpose by doing this. Nobody believes them. Nobody cares. And they're going to end up being the ones getting shit on.
By 1940, Douglas and Squadron 242 are going to partake in the defense of Great Britain during the Battle of Britain, which, if you don't know, is a period in time between July and October of 1940 where the Germans essentially tried to bomb Great Britain every single day. During this time, Squadron 242 is credited with shooting down 62 enemies and only having 4 of their own shot down. Of those 62 enemies that were shot down, 4 of them were shot down by Douglas Bada. This would bring his career total to 5, officially making him an ace fighter pilot. Because of this, news outlets pick up the story and they begin to portray Douglas as the hero of the Battle of Great Britain, essentially using him for pure propaganda. Like, hey, check this out. Great Britain has a legless fighter ace, and he is helping to win the war against the Nazis. We literally have a legless man beating you guys in an ass-kicking contest. What's up? So now Douglas is getting all this attention.
I'm not a huge fan of the propaganda, but I will admit that's useful. That is a useful way to demoralize the German pilots. We're so badass, our legless pilots are kicking the fuck out of you and you stand no chance. Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate it's wartime and propaganda is basically another weapon. It is like in times of war. Yeah, in times of war, propaganda is its own tool or weapon, and demoralizing the enemy pilots. So every time they are going to engage other pilots, they might go, "Shit, is this the guy we've been hearing everything so much about?" And they might start second guessing themselves. So I certainly do understand the value in it. It's just I've seen too much bad kind of propaganda that is not used as an effective tool or weapon. Exactly, Smarter. That's kind of what I'm referencing there. I've seen so much of the bad propaganda, it's very hard to it's easy to forget that propaganda, especially in wartime, can be extremely useful. So
He's
yeah.
being used for effective propaganda, which is great, but it also serves to drive the divide even further between him and the other fighter pilots that already didn't like him. Because now they're jealous that he's getting a bunch of attention for doing...
Yeah, Falcon? Absolutely. I mean, this man would be, like, Falcon, that's the kind of propaganda that's wonderful. Well, actually, Falcon, I'll even do you one better. Imagine that you're a disabled kid in the mid-1900s, like in the 1930s and the 1940s. Imagine you're a disabled kid then reading about batter. Because don't forget, like in the 70s, the prosthetics were in a more advanced stage. They were not as, it was more primitive back in the 1930s, 1940s. So imagine disabled kids reading about him back then. Like, holy fuck, that must have been such a boost for their morale that someone with no legs using prosthetics is like one of the top ace fighter pilots of World War II. He was probably so inspirational. Blah, I can't talk. He was probably so inspirational for these disabled kids that may have been feeling bad about themselves, that might have been feeling like they isolated or alienated, and then they see this and they realize I can do great things. And fuck, that's wonderful. And I'm about to cry from it. Shit. Just thinking about that started to make me cry. Fuck. Okay. And he helped disabled kids in his later years, too. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. It's so nice, it's so wonderful. Oh shit. Oh god, every time. It's just one of those things that can make me cry like this. Okay. I'm fine, Falcon. I'm fine. I'm just fine.
Just as well as a lot of them did. And if that wasn't bad enough, he's now also on the shit list of the really high-ranking officers in the RAF because he had the audacity to back up his boss and friend, Lee Mallory. Basically, the standard operating procedure for the RAF during the defense of Britain was kind of like aerial guerrilla tactics. As soon as they identified an incoming bombing run, they would scramble a small group of RAF fighters that would go up and utilize hit-and-run tactics to shoot down the bombers. Lee Mallory, on the other hand, thought that they should respond with overwhelming force in a strategy that he referred to as the big big wing. And this was essentially taking somewhere between 3 and 5 squadrons in one giant formation, like 50 to 70 fighter planes all at once and running right towards the bombing runs. And Douglas agreed that this was a good strategy, and he was a huge proponent of it. Ultimately, throughout the Battle of Britain, the big wing was only used 5 times. Of the 5 times that it was used, the men that flew in the formation said that it was incredibly effective and they shot down a bunch of enemies. The men that did not fly in the formation said that it wasn't as effective as they're claiming it was and that they're lying. So that aspect...
Cheer 100. Do you need a hug, Ember? Because I got 2 warm arms ready to embrace a cat girl.
Thank you, Beats. I'm fine. It's just, you know, I just was thinking about how beautiful it was that Batter could have been inspiring disabled kids, and it made me cry. And yes, Revan, 100%. Because listen to what Nick said again. Listen to this again.
Said that it was incredibly effective and they shot down a bunch of enemies. The men that did not fly in the formation said that it wasn't as effective as they're claiming it was and that they're lying. So that...
If they did not fly in the formation, why in the fuck are they offering an opinion about its effectiveness? Yes, Melia. Yeah, now Leah. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied today. Now Leah. Yeah, I wasn't there, but I know it didn't work. Like, what?
That aspect is kind of an unknown, but we do know for certain that planes flying in the big wing formation were safer because there's safety in numbers. That makes sense. They were less likely to get shot down. The downside of the big wing was that it took a lot of time to get that many planes up in the air and in formation, so response time was lower. So as far as which plane was better, aerial guerrilla warfare or the big wing, I'm not really sure, but one thing is for certain, using both of them multiple times had a beneficial effect, because the first time the big wing was used, all the German pilots were being told that Great Britain only had 10, 15, 20 aircrafts left, and they go out on this bombing run, and here comes 70 Spitfires and Hurricanes and just fucks up their whole day. It had a devastating effect on enemy morale. And on top of that, now they don't know what the British tactics are. They have to both anticipate being attacked with overwhelming numbers.
Those who can't talk cheer 100.
No, Grey Wolf, more like those who can't talk shit. Difference. Ha ha ha.
And being attacked with a small, fast, responsive hit-and-run force, which made it very difficult for the Germans to plan their attacks, because now they had to plan for both overwhelming numbers and a fast, responsive force. So yeah, in addition to his newfound fame, people are also upset that he had the audacity to have an opinion of how to conduct aerial warfare, even though he's an ace fighter pilot, presumably an expert in aerial warfare, but whatever. Regardless, Douglas ends up getting a promotion to wing commander, and he is now in charge of 3 squadrons instead of 1. So then, from late 1940 to August of 1941, Douglas and his men take the fight to the Germans, flying hundreds of missions, shooting down a ton of Germans. Douglas
Thank you, nickname. Thank you.
Himself shoots down an additional 17, bringing his career total to 22, 6 probables, and a bunch more shared. But on August 9th, 1941, Douglas Bader would fly his last mission ever when he would collide in mid-air with a German Messerschmitt Bf-109. Somehow Douglas survives the initial impact, but his plane is absolutely going down, so he quickly opens the canopy and goes to climb out of the plane, but the impact has crushed one of his prosthetic legs inside the cockpit, and he can't get out. So he's pulling on it, he's desperately trying to get out of this plane, and time is running out. He only has a few seconds left, and he says, fuck it, it's worth a shot, and he opens his parachute while still inside the plane.
Oh my god, I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking the physics, like, it would probably rip his prosthetic leg off, but yeah, he's half out of the cockpit. He could pull his chute, the wind would grab his chute, hopefully the lines would not break, and it would just basically just rip his prosthetic free. Damn it, I should have paused to say something first. Yeah, I was thinking this would be the last-ditch effort that he could do. Huh? Yeah. Okay, I've got to pay Nick some rent for that shared brain cell.
Plane. His parachute catches wind and rips him out of his prosthetic and out of the cockpit. He then attempts to evade German capture, hopping around on a single prosthetic leg. He is eventually captured and becomes a prisoner of war. Okay, now to be fair, technically we don't know for sure that it was a mid-air collision that he was involved in because his plane was never recovered.
Possibly,
and like
Revan,
I said,
yeah.
everything Douglas reports back is extremely scrutinized because leadership doesn't like him. And they came to the conclusion that Douglas made up the mid-air collision story because he didn't want to have to admit that he was shot down and bested by a German pilot.
Oh,
and
for
the
God's
reasoning
sake.
for that is that the German documentation captured after the war didn't show that there was any mid-air collision around this time period. Here's a caveat to that. The documentation also didn't show that they shot down Douglas either. So now the
and it's not like the Germans would lie on their documentation, huh? Yeah, it's just like Douglas, like, exactly. Yeah, it's like, okay, we're gonna trust the paperwork of our enemies not to be skewed in their direction, right? Fuck. But I mean, considering how much the higher ups hated him, this is not a surprise, unfortunately. You know what? He did his job better than just about everyone else. He knew it, and now we know it. And that's what counts.
The leading theory is that he was actually a victim of friendly fire somehow. Which, you know what, to be fair, as much as I want to have Bada's back on this one, if you take a step back and really look at it, it does make perfect sense, because what person in their right mind would take the word of their own guy who was fucking there and lived through it over the word of the German military in the 1940s? I mean, the Germans back then were just batting 100. They never fucking lied about anything ever. They definitely didn't build an entire military in secrecy, violating the Treaty of Versailles so they could try to take over the fucking planet, and they definitely didn't have a crazy military dictator dosed up on amphetamines and testosterone who people were literally scared to give him bad news. There's no way that they would lie on this documentation. All right, so back to Douglas. He's hanging out at this POW camp with one prosthetic leg. Word finally gets spread around throughout Britain and throughout the German ranks that they finally caught the famous legless fighter ace that the British had. And upon hearing that, one of Germany's most famous fighter pilot aces, Adolf Galland, who had apparently been running missions against Bada for a while now, wanted to go meet him in person. And for whatever reason, he's actually nice to Bada. So nice that he actually writes the British government and is like, hey, we got your guy. He's missing one of his legs. Would you guys mind airdropping another prosthetic for him so he could walk around?
What?
To which Britain is like, absolutely, sure, why not? Great Britain launches Operation Leg, where they are given free passage through German airspace to airdrop an extra prosthetic leg for Bada. And then after dropping the leg, they kept going and bombed the local power plant. Okay, look.
Oh my god, taste. Oh, this fucking taste. I mean, yeah, we're already, like, doing him a solid by saying, hey, can I get my leg back? And they're like, sure. Okay, we're gonna drop off your leg. By the way, we got something else to drop off. Hope you don't mind. Well, I don't actually. His Canadian bro said, listen.
Prosthetic leg stratagem is wild.
Okay, here's my headcanon. Word came down. They were going to be able to airdrop the leg. One of his Canadian, one of the Canadians from his team kind of went, listen. Hear me out on this.
Look, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. You don't like it, don't try to take over the entire world. I don't know what else to tell you. So now that Bada's got both his legs, he decides it is going to be his personal mission to be the biggest pain in the ass humanly possible. He is going to constantly try to escape the POW camp, and he is going to fuck with the guards every chance he gets, or as he calls it, goon baiting. One of his first attempts at escape, he's on like the third story of a hospital, so he takes all the bed sheets he can find, ties them together in a rope, just like you see in the movies, ties it to the radiator in the room, throws the rope out the window, but the rope isn't long enough. And he's looking around, he's like, shit, what else can I use? There's a guy in a coma that he's sharing the room with. So he ties the rope to that guy's bed frame and pushes the guy in the coma bed over to the window to get it close enough to the ground. He rappels down to the ground and runs off, but the Germans catch him again. Then after he gets out of the hospital, he goes to a normal POW camp where he tries to Andy Dufresne his way out. He tries to dig a tunnel out of the POW camp using his prosthetic leg as a shovel and taking all the excess dirt that he has, putting it inside of his prosthetic leg and walking a ways with it before falling down to dump out all the excess dirt so they never see any big dirt piles. But eventually that plan gets busted too, and then in August of 1942, after a year in captivity, he finally makes it out of the POW camp. He escapes, and he's gone for like 36 hours. They put out a nationwide manhunt. They're getting posters ready. They are absolutely gonna find this guy. They were getting their ass kicked by him in aerial combat. There is no way that these guys are gonna admit that a man with no legs was able to escape their POW camp. Eventually, they do end up tracking him down, take him back into custody, at which point they decide they're gonna send him to Colditz Castle, which is believed to be an inescapable.
Wait, is this the one that we've heard of? This castle. No, it's not. No, this is something else. I'm thinking of something else. Neist? Is that how it's pronounced? Thank you for the follow.
Prison, which is apparently where he has to go because they are absolutely not going to let the guy with no legs get away. And that is where he would remain until 1945 when the US Army liberated him and returned him home. From there, he would receive a hero's welcome, retire from the RAF, and then a movie would be made about his life called Reach for the Sky. It is considered to be a classic piece of British film, and it made him one of the most famous men on the planet at this point in time. He then decided that he was going to use all of his newfound fame to put out the message that it was still possible to accomplish things after a horrific injury and becoming disabled. And he became one of, if not the biggest advocate for disabled people on the planet. For this service to the world, he would end up getting knighted by the Queen and officially become Sir Douglas Bada. He would then continue to travel and give talks and advocate for the rest of his life until passing away at the age of 72 on September 5th, 1982. But one of those talks that he gave is actually my favorite part of this entire story because it really captures how much of an anti-hero Douglas Bada really was. He was giving a speech at an all-girls school telling his incredible story about being a pilot during World War II. And at some point during that story, he says, and I quote, "So there were 2 of the fuckers behind me, 3 of the fuckers to my right, and another fucker on the left." At this point, the audience is like, and the headmistress of the school has all the color drained from her face and she goes ghost white and she's like, ladies, a fucking is a German aircraft. At which point, Sir Douglas Bada replies, and I quote, "That may be, madame, but these fuckers were Messerschmitts." Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go check out thefatelectrician.com, get some merch, subscribe to Patreon. Thanks for watching. Quack bang.
Grace, man.
Out. The lengths haters will go to just to hate will never, ever cease to amaze me.
No, me neither. Oh God, that was good. That was outstanding. Yes.